Nicholas Moreano is spending the week down in Mobile, Alabama for the Senior Bowl. Nick, thanks for joining us. Let's start with this. We know the Bears made their coordinator hires official yesterday. Who from the Bears brass have you seen down at the Senior Bowl this week?
Yeah, and they were really nobody from yesterday's practice, but now I think everybody from Ryan Poles, Ian Cunningham, Trey Cozio, they're all down here trying to spot Ben Johnson. I don't know if he's here or not, but they definitely were here, and they were focusing a lot of their attention on watching the offensive and defensive line. It makes sense with the needs that the Bears have on this roster right now.
Yeah, we're going to get into what we think they should do with the draft this season, but you got some great insight on the Bears' new offensive coordinator, 28-year-old Declan Doyle, and also former Saints head coach Dennis Allen. What's been the reaction from people around the league on the Bears hiring those two guys?
Yeah, just speaking with some people that have been around both guys back when they were both with the Saints, like a guy like Declan Doyle, even though he's only 28, there are people that believe that he should have been an OC when he was 26 years old. 2 years too late was something how they described like Declan Doyle and just the admiration they have for him and how consistent he is with being in the film room. He was making up the run plays when he was actually with Sean Payton back in the day. So it's a guy that's pretty respected, even though he's only 28 years old. And then for Dennis Allen, the words that kept coming up are organized and somebody that's always going to be on top of his game in terms of just having his players in the right place, right time. So more people I talk to about these two guys, the more that you're just hearing good things about both guys.
What was your reaction to the Bears, one, hiring a 28-year-old as their offensive coordinator, has history with Iowa? We know you're an Iowa guy. And then also bringing in a former head coach who can kind of balance Ben Johnson being a first-timer.
Well, I mean, the first reaction, hiring a 28 years old, I'm like, what am I doing? I just turned 30, but Declan. Yeah, but no, good for Declan. Obviously, this is going to be a guy that is going to obviously not call the plays with Ben Johnson taking over that role, but somebody that, like I said, is well respected around the league despite his young age. So I think it'll be a nice asset for Ben Johnson as he's going through this for the first time as a head coach. And then Dennis Allen, I think that was a huge get for the Bears in terms of just having a guy that has had head coaching experience and obviously has been a really good defensive coordinator in this league. And I think what Ben Johnson can do is just allow Dennis Allen to run the defense. Of course, Ben will probably want to be a part of some of those meetings and things like that, but Dennis Allen is well established and has a lot of credibility in this league.
And we know that Ben Johnson said he wants an offensive coordinator that can set the table for him early in the week and then, of course, spend late nights just digging into that film as they prepare for games on Sundays. You mentioned the Bears brass that's there right now in Mobile, spending a lot of time watching both offensive and defensive line. Ben Johnson comes from a place where they were really strong in the trenches, especially on that O-line. Who stuck out to you over the first two practices down there?
Yeah, I think the guy that's been making headlines right now is the North Dakota State offensive lineman, Gray Zabel. Is a guy that has played all three interior offensive line positions, and now he's just stacking practices in terms of just showing that he can go up against this higher level competition and really just compete. And so I think that has been a huge asset for him and just what he's been able to do. I also just like some of the defensive linemen that have been out here and just what they're capable of doing. Mike Green from Marshall had I think is going to probably go viral at some point, but the practice rep of the day where he's just bull rushing some of these offensive linemen. But there are definitely guys that if you're looking to add some people in the trenches, that Ryan Poles, Ian Cunningham being former offensive linemen, they focus a lot of their attention today watching those groups. So I think it's going to be a good opportunity for them to scout them and see what they can do.
I know you're a football junkie and you're good at getting into the X's and O's. So how do you evaluate these players as they're going through these drills? Is it more one-on-one? Is it more team reps?
Yeah, for me, I do like to value what they do in some of the one-on-one periods. And when you're looking at offensive and defensive line, just seeing how guys are able to, if they lose a rep, come back the next time and are able to maybe correct that mistake that happened that first time and then be better the second time. And I think for some of the team periods as they're kind of getting going in these Senior Bowl practices, like day 2 is a lot more physical. So you're starting to see some of the guys that didn't pop earlier start to show exactly what their skill sets are. So the one-on-one period, though, is definitely a good place to evaluate what certain guys can do and how they can maybe go to the next level and bring those skill set there.
Do you think the Bears should go offensive line or defensive line one way or the other with that first overall pick or the first round pick?
I think it wouldn't be a bad thing, Cassie, because when you look at the needs that this team has, and of course, Ryan Poles and Cunningham, they're going to evaluate their board and see what fits. But right now, if that offensive line position is there when they are on the board with that first round pick, and it lines up at in terms of a need that they have an interior offensive line or even at the left tackle position, I think the Bears would be in a good spot to take that guy. And, you can always add more help for Montez Sweat. So if he got another edge rusher to go opposite of him, I think that would be a good choice for Ryan Poles.
Yeah, I think when we look at the offensive line right now, working from the inside out, you can probably think that they're going to have 3 new starters from guard, center. But then the big question is that left tackle position. And if they do believe in Braxton Jones, how many new starters do you think they'll have on the offensive line come the beginning of the season?
It's a interesting question. Like, I think at the least it's probably 3, and you're looking at the interior as the 3 players that you just need to have better stability and guys that are going to be available. Like a guy like Tevin Jenkins, although he can be productive when he's on the field, the question is when he's on the field, and that just hasn't been too consistent. You need to upgrade the center position, obviously right guard, but I think for right now, obviously Braxton Jones coming off a season-ending injury, I think the Bears will end up keeping him there. But if there's an opportunity to upgrade, I think if you're Ryan Poles, you got to take that chance if it's there.
I think it's interesting to look at what Ben Johnson had available for him in Detroit, and you can't ignore the fact that he had that running back duo with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. Gibbs was a first-round pick. A lot of people mocked Brad Holmes for taking a running back so high up in the draft, but we see what it allowed them to do. And now you're seeing some mock drafts, and people want Ashton Genty, the Heisman runner-up from Boise State, to the Bears. Would you be surprised if you saw Ryan Poles skip over the trenches and go for another skills position?
I would, especially a running back, and I get it with Ben Johnson, what he had, and David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs. It makes a lot of sense. But I think there are some capable running backs even later in the draft that maybe Ryan Poles, Ian Cunningham can look at. Some of the guys here at the Senior Bowl have been really popping off here. Marcus Yarns from Delaware. I was actually talking to him about, do you see any similarities in guys in the NFL? And Jahmyr Gibbs is one of them, that he sees a lot of his skill set matching with what he can do in terms of being a pass catcher out of the backfield. So if the Bears can choose to use that first round pick on maybe the trenches and then draft a running back later, I think that would be a nice way to give Ben Johnson what he needs to operate his offense.
All right, Nick, we appreciate your time. I know it's a busy week down there in Mobile. You're definitely keeping everyone updated on Twitter, so follow him at Nicholas Moreano. Nick, where else can people stay up to date with your content?
Yeah, you can follow my YouTube page at Nicholas Moreano, and then I'll post everything on Twitter, so go check that out at Nicholas Moreano.
All right, Nick, have fun. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you.